Hello and welcome. Today we're taking another look at Dior Spring. So this is part two. My part one video has the Sweet Bouquet Quint along with the Liquid Luminizer in Lilac and the new Rose Petal Dior Addict. And today we're taking a look at the new Forever Hydra Nude foundation from Dior. I've been testing this for a little while. We also have the new Lip Veil lipsticks. I picked up 3 of those. We have the Lilac Powder Luminizer, as well as the 812 Pink Mania Quint. So we're going to be taking a look at all of these things. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with foundation. So this is the foundation. We have a glass bottle here with a cream colored cap. And then I picked up shade 0N, which is this one here. And it's the same shade I have in the Dior Stick Foundation, which has become a go-to for me. So let me go ahead and put a swatch of that right next to it so you can see how those compare. So you can see that the liquid is just a little less peach, but they're pretty close. Let's take a look at this foundation on the skin while we talk a little bit about the details. And this foundation has 30 milliliters of product. We have a 1-year shelf life. It is made in France and it retails for $57 US. They have 18 shades available on the Dior website. And according to Dior, the Hydra Nude foundation delivers medium coverage with an invisible finish in 24-hour wear. It's infused with hyaluronic acid for 48 hours of hydration. The skin breathes comfortably all day. It's created with over 50% water. The fresh, lightweight formula includes 96% natural origin ingredients and mineral pigments for a flawless, natural-looking result. The foundation is supposed to give you a no makeup feel, and your skin should look visibly plumped from within. Now, as for my thoughts on this foundation, I really like this foundation. It's lightweight. It looks very natural on the skin. You have a little bit of a dewy look, but it's more of that fresh dewy look, not a greasy dewy look. And I would say that this is really more of a light to medium buildable coverage. So I go in typically with 2 layers is what I prefer with this. And that gives me light medium. And I think it's a really beautiful finish foundation. And it's great. You know, it's just one of those great everyday foundations that you can wear just to make your skin look a little bit more perfected. So overall, I have to say it's a really nice product and I'm glad that I tried this one. Now, a couple other foundations that this one makes me think of would be something like the Chanel Le Beige or the Koh Gen Do Aqua foundation. And I feel like those give you a pretty similar finish on the skin. Let's take a look at just a couple of shade comparisons here. So this is the Chanel Le Beige, and I have this one in shade BR12. I'm gonna go ahead and put this right here. BR12 is not a perfect match for me, but when this foundation came out, they did not have a better match. You can see that BR12 is significantly deeper and peachier. Now this is an older bottle. It has oxidized a little bit. So it's a little deeper now than it was when I initially purchased it. And then the Koh Gen Do Aqua, this is one of my go-to foundations. I have shade 012 and this is a pretty good match for me. And you can see that that's going to be pretty similar to the Dior in 0N. However, it's slightly peachier compared to the Dior, which is just a little bit warmer, a little more golden. But you can see the depth of color is going to be pretty similar between the 2 of those. So I'd say they're pretty close. Now, my Chanel match, this is the Camellia, the #1 de Chanel. My Chanel match is actually the BD01 in most of their foundations. They don't have the shade in all foundations, just so you can see the difference here. And this foundation in particular, it has a similar coverage to the Dior. However, this is going to be a more matte finish. And you can see it's significantly more ivory than the Dior or the Chanel BR12. All right, so let's just put a fresh swatch of the Dior 0N right here at the top. So this is our Dior 0N original swatch. You can see how much oxidation there is, just a little bit. You can see it gets a little bit peachier as it oxidizes, which is good for me personally. So overall, I think it's a really beautiful foundation. I'm happy I picked this up. I think this is a great one for spring, summer when you want a little bit lighter coverage and kind of that fresh, dewy, natural looking skin. So let me know what you think if you've tried this. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's go ahead and take a look at the eyeshadow. All right, so this is the eyeshadow in 812 Pink Mania. And the theme this year for spring are soft pastels, not just with Dior, but a whole bunch. You can see that our first shade here is gonna be a soft pink matte, kind of like that soft, but not quite a ballet pink. It's not as peachy as that, but maybe more of a carnation pink. It's a little bit cooler. And then we have a frosty mint green. The shade in the center is a really nice soft yellow gold. And then this shade down here, I love this shade. This is actually more of a purple nude. So it's interesting because it's such a dusky purple that it's almost just a nude shade, but we have a touch of lilac in it. So I think it's a really beautiful shade. And that one is going to be a satin finish. And then last up, we have a matte. This is going to be more of it's a brick shade. And so you can see it's going to be kind of like a warm, deep rose with a touch of brick red in it. So the soft pink and the brick shade, those two are both matte. Then our green here is really more of a frost shade. We have a golden shimmer, and then we have the satin purple nude. So this is Pink Mania. And let's take a look at these on the eyes. This palette is limited edition and it retails for $71 US, so it's a little bit more expensive than your traditional eyeshadow palette from Dior, but we do have the embossing on there. And there are two different palettes in this Glowmania collection. The other one is 623 Peach Mania. Now, this has 6.5 grams of product. It's made in France, and we have our traditional 6-month shelf life. Just to note, SUQQU, the palette I have in the first video, that one's limited edition. It does not have the embossing. That one's actually 7 grams of product, and it's a little bit less expensive. So just something to note there. Now, according to Dior, for spring, Dior is introducing a collection of captivating new eyeshadows presented in 2 limited edition eyeshadow palettes. Each harmony is embossed with the Dior oblique Glowmania motif, echoing the couture case of the Dior Addict Lip Glow Lip Balm. Created by Peter Phillips, the creative and image director for Dior Makeup, these stunning eyeshadows dress the eyes in pastel hues with matte and pearly finishes. The warm shades of the Peach Mania eyeshadow palette feature an array of coral, silvery blue, and golden ivory hues, and I passed on that palette. It's a little bit too warm for me. While the Pink Mania palette combines cooler tones of soft pink, lagoon blue, and pale gold. Now I have to say, I don't really consider this a lagoon blue. If you're looking for something blue, then you want to look at the Peach Mania palette, which does have a really beautiful, looks almost like a cornflower blue in the photos. But this particular shade is really a mint green. It is not blue at all. So it's definitely more of a pale mint, and I think it's a really beautiful shade. The creamy powder texture smooths effortlessly over eyelids and does not settle into creases for long-wearing makeup, and a spectacular finish every time. Now during the eye swatches, I'm using a small Tancedo shader brush, and this is going to have, it's a stiffer shader brush, so it's going to have quite a bit of pickup, but you can see that the shadows go on easily with the brush or with a fingertip application. You're definitely going to get more intense coverage with a fingertip application. Regardless, the shades in this palette are light, but we do have one color to add that depth, and that would be that brick pink. It's a really warm, deep rose. And you know, I think it is really nice to have that to add a little bit of accent to it. Overall, I have to say I think it's a really pretty palette. If you are someone who enjoyed the Natasha Denona pastel palette when that came out a few years ago, this palette reminds me a lot of that. So I would say if you had that and loved it, or you missed out on that but you were intrigued by it, this palette kind of gives you a taste of that one. So I think we've got some really beautiful soft pastel shades here. Now, as you can see, as we're going through the eye demos here, I'm also using a new crease brush here. This is from Bobo and SUQQU. So you can purchase this at Fude Bobo. This one was gifted to me. It's the S01, which is part of the Nebula series. And this brush is going to be made out of a mix of tea squirrel hair and weasel hair. Now, it's soft on the skin, as in it doesn't feel prickly, but it is going to be a firm brush. And this really helps you get precision in the crease. It's also suitable for powders, liquids, and cream products. You could also use this, you know, for concealer and so forth as well. So I did want to share this brush because I've been loving this brush to the point where I've actually ordered another one myself. So it's a really great brush here, and it just recently became available. So let me just show you the brush quickly here. So here it is. You can see it's a nice blending brush here, crease brush, and you can see that it maintains some stiffness in its core, but yet, so you've got that firmness, yet it feels very soft on the skin. So I think this is a really great brush, and it kind of, you know, combines a lot of things that I'm looking for in a crease brush. You have something soft, you have something that, you know, can be fluffy enough to kind of buff out the crease, yet it's firm enough that I can go deep in there without spreading the color too far. So I think this is a really great brush. So I just wanted to go ahead and share that one. And let's take a look at a few eyeshadow comparisons. So this is my Sweet Bouquet palette, and this is the one that I have in part 1. So I'm going to go ahead and swatch this vertically here, but you can see that our pink that we start off with, this is a frosty pink shade here, and it's going to be a warmer pink than that of the Pink Mania. Then we have a shimmery white, which is going to be a little bit more finely milled. You can see it's more silvery. We have a purple in the center here, which is a really pretty soft lilac shade. And then one of my favorites here is this one. I'm going to put this right next to our Purple Nude because they're kind of similar. You can see that the one in Pink Mania is going to be lighter. This is more taupe with purple, whereas this is really just such a dusky lilac. So you can see they do have kind of a similar tone to them. And then our last shade here, I'm going to put this one right at the top as well. This is a light pink, and you can see that those are going to be pretty similar, but this one is a little bit more satin. It's more of a satin matte compared to this one in Pink Mania, which is definitely more matte. The one in Pink Mania is also slightly warmer, but you can see that they're very close. So there are definitely some similarities between the palettes. I also want to take a look at Chanel Spring. So this is the Chanel Mente Aloe in the singles. This is 254. Let's go ahead and put that one right there. You can see it's going to be significantly deeper than that in the Dior. This is 222 Jade Facette, and this came out when the singles originally launched. Put that one right next to it. And you can see that this one is more of a yellow green in comparison to the Dior, but the depth of color is going to be more similar. And then we have 250 Mauve Sucre. This one doesn't quite go. We'll put this one right here at the top. You can see it's more lilac than the pinks, but definitely nowhere near the dusky lavender at the bottom, or dusky lilac. And then this is a Natasha Denona pastel palette. So let's go ahead and take a look at these. We're going to start off with this Mint Frost shade here. I'm going to put these down here at the bottom. We'll also take a look at this Matte Brisk. And might as well go in with Adriatic right next to it. So those are a few greens. We'll swatch the Dior right next to those as well. Let's take a look though at a few of the pinks here. We've got Tulle and Dainty, sorry. There's Dainty. We have Feather here at the bottom. And, you know, I think those are really the only ones that are really going to go. Let's take a look at Illusion here. Illusion, though, yeah, it's a color shifting one. And so is Duet down here. But Duet is one of my favorites, so we'll just go ahead and put that there. Love that shade. Let's take a look at a few of those Dior ones again. So here's the green from Dior. Let's put that right there so you can see how they compare. It's closest to Brisk, but again, it's not going to be, Brisk is matte, so it's not going to be frosty. Let's take a look at our pinks here, and I'll put, that's the light matte pink. You can see it doesn't really go with any of those. And then our brick pink here, let's put that right up there, and you can see that's going to be a bit deeper. So those were just a few comparisons. So I hope those were helpful. Let's go ahead and move on to the Luminizer. So this is the powder Luminizer. This is in the Dior Forever collection. It's 003 Lilac Mania, and it is limited edition. And I have to say, I think this is a much better highlighter than the liquid Luminizer, the Glow Maximizer. So here's the lilac. You can see it's going to be more shimmery, more of like a high satin instead of a glittery highlighter, which I think is really nice. And you can see it's a really beautiful purple. This is also one that you could use on the eyes for an eyeshadow. So if you're looking for something kind of like, it's not quite as dusky as the purple in this Quint, let's go ahead and put that there. But you can see it does have a similarity to it. So if the purple was the only shade that you were interested in the Quint, I think purchasing the Luminizer might be a better alternative. So we'll take a look at some comparisons in a few minutes. Let's look at this on the face. So the Luminizer has 6 grams of product with a 1-year shelf life, and it's made in Italy. And we do have the cushion top on here in the patent leather. This is a highlighter that features subtle pearlescent pigments with a luminous finish. And it's a shade between lavender and lilac and leaves a veil of long wearing color. This retails for $55 US, and I have to say, I love this. I've been looking for a purple or lavender highlighter for quite a while, and this one, it's not too glittery, it shows up. You know, I think it's a really beautiful product, and I'm very, very happy with this one. So this is a product that I personally have been waiting for. Now for the application, so you can really see how this performs, I used a Koyudo Yoshiki 3D cheek brush. This is a new product as well. It's a high-grade SUQQU goat hair brush with a little bit of a special plant dye at the top. And this is a fantastic brush. I used the side with the gradient to apply the highlighter, but then in the demo, I finished it off with using the tall side, the stiff side, just for the highlighter as well. And on the left side, I used a dense buffing brush, also SUQQU goat hair, and that way you could really see how deeply you can build up that luminizer. And this is also such a great shade to mix with blushes to get like a luminous blush. I think this is a really great highlighter. So super happy with the highlighter, and yeah, you know, using it on the eyes or the face, I think it's a beautiful color, and it's not glittery. It is shimmery, but not glittery. And I think that makes a huge difference. It's more of a satin luminous finish. So let's take a quick look at the brush, and then we'll look at some highlighter comparisons. So this is the brush here, and you can see it's incredibly soft, and it's going to be light and airy. So this is something great to give you kind of a light finish. It works well with the highlighter because with this particular shade of the highlighter and the formula is it's a little bit more firmly packed. Because of that, you don't need to be as cautious as to where to put this because it is a softer finish. Now, one of my all-time favorite brushes is this. This is a Bobo Chikuhodo CH1. So I just wanted to show you how they compare. You can see that our end here is going to be a little bit more, it's a little more stark, where it's a little bit more rounded in the CH1. And if you look at the way the bristles bend, you can see that the Yoshiki one here is a little bit airier. We've got a stronger density with the Bobo Chikuhodo, which in my opinion makes this one a little bit better for most blushes. However, this is going to give you that lighter finish. So if you're working with something a bit more pigmented or something, I think this is a really great one. And again, using the end here for highlight or, you know, targeted powder applications, this is actually a great brush for powder as well. So I think it's a really nice brush. And by the way, this is another one that was gifted to me, but I did already buy another one of these that's coming with some more brushes that I purchased for some reviews soon. Now, I wanted to start off by taking a look at the Glow Maximizer in Lilac. And we're going to put this right up here. I think this is a beautiful color, but my problem with this is it's a glitter. It's a glitter finish. It's super glittery. I love the actual color of it. I love the base, but it's too glittery. So that's my issue with this. If you are looking for a glittery one, you can see that the shade of purple here is going to be a little bit more vibrant. It's more of a true lilac in the liquid versus this. I can see how they say a cross between a lilac and a lavender. It's a little bit duskier here as well. Let's take a look at a couple more. This is the Gucci highlighter in number 2, Frosted Lilac, which I personally really like this one as well. You can see this is going to be brighter, has a little bit more blue in it, but it's also going to be more radiant. So if you're looking for something a little bit more subtle, the Dior is a bit more subtle. Let me just go ahead and do a little buffed out swatch so you can see that difference in radiance. And then this was the SUQQU Melting Powder Blush in 105, which, I mean, it's technically a blush, but this was such a highly coveted product. I had to compare this. I love this shade. But you can see it's significantly more pink. And let's just take a look at the Chanel Mauve Sucre real quickly next to it as well. So here is our Dior. I'm going to squeeze this in right above it. You can see that this is a little bit more pink. It's a little bit more opaque when you buff this one out as well. Let me just go ahead and put that right there. But it is something that you could kind of use on your cheeks to kind of blend. If you're looking more for something to blend with blushes, this is actually a really nice option as well. But I have to say I'm loving this Dior highlight and super happy with this. For me, it's a huge win. So I hope those were helpful. Now let's go ahead and move on to the new Dior lip veils. All right, so the packaging is the same as the new Rouge Dior lipsticks. You can see we've got this sleek magnetic packaging here with the Christian Dior belt. I picked up 3 of the lip veils. This first one here is 261 Ruben Veil. And I'm gonna go ahead and put these on my hand here. You can see that this is going to be a soft sheer shade with one swipe, but you can build this up. And we do have more of that blurred powder finish on the lips. And this is going to be a warm pink with a touch of coral in it. I have to say, I did think that this was going to be just a little bit, I thought it was going to be a bit cooler than it is. So I just made that a little bit deeper there. So again, it's going to be a warmer rose with coral mixed in. And then I picked up 2 others that are a little bit more similar to each other. We have 686. This is Rev Rose. And this one here is going to, again, it's not as cool as it looked on the website, but we do have kind of that brown mixed with a tea rose, mixed with a tiny touch of mauve. This is going to be neutral, and we have a little bit of a cooler overtone to it, but the base is actually going to be a bit warmer. So it's pretty much neutral. And then we have 688 Voile de Rose. This is the one that's on my lips right now. And this one's probably my favorite. So you can see though that these 2 here are pretty similar, but 688 has a little bit more brown in it. But you can see that these are very, very close to each other. So honestly, you don't need both. They looked more different online than they do in person. The 686 has just a little bit more red in it. And ever so slightly warmer than the 688, which has a little bit more of a cocoa brown mixed into it. So it skews it a little bit cooler. Let's take a look at these on the lips. Just a few product details. We have 3.4 grams of product. These are made in France. There's no suggested shelf life on these, and they retail for $49 US. By the way, if you're interested in getting these engraved, you can purchase engraving on the Dior website for about $10 US. However, if you are purchasing $125 or more of any products on Dior, you get free engraving. So I've done that in the past, but I did not do that on these. So the veil formula is going to be the new finish. And according to Dior, it offers a veil of matte color with a blurring and smoothing effect. Its intensity is buildable for limitless makeup looks. The first swipe produces a light veil of color, intensifying with each application for a deeper result. Now, if you were familiar with the previous Dior lip balms that were out a few years ago, those had kind of that matte powdery texture to them. They were very light. That's pretty much what these feel like. So this feels, you know, it's a little bit heavier than the matte lip balms were, but it's pretty similar. You definitely have that powder finish to it. It's comfortable though. It doesn't feel drying on the lips, and they really give you that blurred lip look. So I like the formula for these a lot. I think it's a very nice formula, but unfortunately the color swatches online, of course, are going to be not quite super accurate. I actually find them to be more accurate with their satins than they are with the velvets or the veil finishes. Overall though, it's a really beautiful finish. I like it a lot. If you are familiar with the Violette FR Bisou Bombs, it has a similar feeling to those on the lips. So, you know, pretty close to that. If you have tried the new Chanel Rouge Dior Velvet Les Pearls, which are described as a luminous matte veil, those have a bit more glide, more of an oilier texture to them, and they don't really have so much of that powder finish. So they're going to feel completely different than these, which really feel more like a matte lip balm. So overall, really great product. Now, we're not really going to go over comparisons for these, but this is the Violette FR Bisou Balm. This is actually my favorite shade, so I keep it right here. This is Bonbon Myrtille, which is a really beautiful color. And you can see this is significantly cooler in tone, but just so you can see the level of the finish, these are going to have a very similar appearance on the lips. They both have more of that matte blurred lip look, and you can go very light or build it up to a stronger intensity. So I think there are a lot of great shades to explore in the new Dior Veil, but I would have to say that these shades all skew warmer in real life than they do from the photos online. So I hope this has been helpful. Let's just do a quick summary of everything we talked about. We started off with the Dior Forever Hydra Nude Foundation. This is a great light to medium weight coverage with a natural dewy finish. I think it looks very skin-like but fresh. It looks fresh and hydrated. And I think it's a really great foundation. So very happy with that one. Then we moved on to the new eyeshadow in Pink Mania. And this is a great collection of pastels if you're looking for very light colors. We do have one pop to give some dimension here, but I think we've got some really beautiful light frosty shades for a very soft pastel look. This is also something that it would be really nice to mix these shades with some of your like everyday neutrals, just for a little something different to put on there. Like you could do like something like the beige Mitza all over the lid and just like a little pop of the green in the center for a halo. That'd be a really beautiful look. Then we went and we took a look at the Dior Forever Luminizer in Lilac Mania. I love this. This is fantastic. You can use this on the eyes, on the face. It's stunning, and I think it's way better than the liquid glow maximizer that we looked at in part 1. Then we finished up with the new Dior Veil lipsticks, which I think have a really nice, comfortable, hydrating formula. They feel like a matte lip balm on the lips, and I have worn them, you know, for a few days to really test out the wear time and so forth. They're going to wear like your traditional lipstick, leave a little bit of a stain there, but they don't feel drying at all throughout the day, and they kind of give you that like that feeling like you don't have anything on, but your lips don't feel dry, like you need to apply something either. So I think they're really nice, but colors do skew warmer in real life than they do in the online photos. And then we also took a look at 2 new brushes that were sent to me from Fude Bobo. So we've got the Bobo Chikuhodo S01, which is a fantastic stiffer crease brush from the Nebula collection. So it's stiff yet incredibly soft. So very nice for sensitive skin there. And then we also took a look at the Koyudo Yoshiki 3D cheek brush, which is going to be a little bit airier than the Fude Bobo CH1, which is a favorite of mine. This is going to be great for highlighters or any blushes where you want to go a little bit softer. I think it's a fantastic brush. So let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think of all of these items. Let me know if you picked anything up from Dior Spring. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you very soon. Have a great day.